Did you know that Xi Jinping is taking complete control over China? China's economy isn't doing so well. Unemployment is rising exponentially. The world's second largest economy has a long list of problems, and many of these long-term problems have worsened in the 10 years that Xi Jinping has been in charge. Still, the Chinese leader has a firm hold on power. Keep watching to learn more about the Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and greetings. Today's video will show you that Xi Jinping is taking complete control over China, so stay focused. You won't believe that Xi Jinping has consolidated his power in a way that hasn't been seen since Mao Zedong was in charge. He is the leader of the Chinese Communist Party, the government, the military, and many other groups that he has been called chairman of everything. He is about to start the third term in office, which is against the rules and could rule for life. But absolute power often comes with complete responsibility, and as problems get worse, analysts say Xi Jinping will have less room to avoid blame. I think Xi Jinping is his own worst enemy when it comes to how long he can rule China, said Steve Tsang, who runs the SOAS China Institute in London. Xi Jinping could lose power if he makes a big policy mistake that causes chaos in China. From 1949 to 1976, Mao was in charge of China. During that time, he made hasty decisions that killed tens of millions of people and destroyed the economy. After so many years of chaos, the Communist Party made a system of collective leadership to stop another dictator from coming to power and making dangerous decisions. At the 20th National Congress of the Chinese Communist Party this week, Xi Jinping is expected to be given a third term as leader. The expected reaffirmation will be a turning point for the world's new superpower on the political, military, and economic fronts. In his speech to the Congress on Sunday, Xi Jinping warned of grave international developments that haven't happened in the last 100 years. China's most powerful leader since Mao Zedong spoke out against what he called the bullying of other countries and reaffirmed his plans to take control of Taiwan, possibly by force. Xi Jinping sees the world through this threat-based lens. A national security strategy for 2021 to 2025 was adopted in late 2021 but hasn't been made public yet. Aims to rally party and state bodies to fight all internal and external threats to China's growing security sphere as Beijing builds a fortress China. It can stand up to what it sees as the US-led West's attempts to slow down its progress. New rules and mass movements are on the way. One recent example is telling farmers to grow more staple crops to ensure enough food for everyone. If, on the other hand, Beijing's response is to hunker down and put a security straitjacket on its economy and people, it risks stifling the entrepreneurial spirit that has helped China's economy change so much over the past 30 years. Already, a structural slowdown has led the World Bank to predict that this year will be the first time since 1990 that China's GDP growth rate will be slower than the rest of Asia. This slowdown is due to a necessary realignment of the real estate market, but it's also true that Beijing's focus on state ownership and administrative control stops people from starting their businesses. China should remember that its hard times under Mao were caused by building a fortress economy led by officials who saw threats everywhere. If China slows down, the world will lose its most potent source of economic growth. Xi Jinping said that China had been through hard times in the last 5 years. He said this at the start of a crucial Communist Party Congress where he portrayed himself as a leader who could lead the country through a time of danger and uncertainty. In a nearly 2-hour speech, he said things that shifted the party's attention away from economic development and toward his obsession with security, which means getting rid of all ideological and geopolitical threats to the party's rule. At the Communist Party Congress, Xi Jinping will likely get another 5 years or more as president. It would make him China's most powerful leader since Mao Zedong. One of Mr. Xi Jinping's most well-known policies has been his fight against corruption, which has been popular with the public and helped him eliminate possible rivals. Last month, China put on the death sentences of a former justice minister and a former deputy public security minister hold. Mr. Tsang says that the ongoing fight against corruption shows that anyone who gets in his way will be crushed. On Sunday, Xi Jinping, the leader of China, gave himself a good grade and said that the government should play a more significant role in running the Chinese economy. During Xi Jinping's speech at the opening of the Communist Party Congress in Beijing on Sunday, the word security, or anquan in Chinese, was used dozens of times. It shows his priorities as China's leader and what the government will focus on in the future. The speech discussed different kinds of security, such as food, energy, and information security, but the most important one was protecting the country. Just days after the U.S. hit China with strict new rules on tech exports, Jinping called on his country to be self-sufficient and win a battle over key core technologies. During his nearly 2-hour speech at the Communist Party Congress, Jinping also talked about the importance of technological innovation. Still, he also clarified that the government, not a private business, would lead critical projects. He made only vague references to bigger tech fights with the U.S., and he urged China to develop talent and fund basic scientific research if it wants to be more competitive on the world stage. The Congress was supposed to be Xi Jinping's crowning achievement as he headed into what was almost certainly going to be a third term, but when he won, the mood on the ground wasn't as happy as it should have been. On Sunday morning, there wasn't much traffic in the center of Beijing. The screens, which usually show the news, were black at several big shopping centers with substantial outdoor LED screens, including one more than 50 feet tall. He also thought he would be able to watch the Congress there. In 2012, when Xi Jinping took power, China's economy was booming as the country became more connected to the rest of the world. 4 years ago, the extravagant Beijing Summer Olympics shocked the world, but Xi Jinping thought the party was in a crisis because of all the corruption, fighting, and waste. The answer that Xi Jinping came up with was to go back to dictatorial and personal rule. In a wide-ranging anti-corruption campaign, he got rid of political enemies, ended internal dissent, got rid of limits on presidential terms, and wrote Xi Jinping thought into the party's constitution. Analysts say that when the leader of a dictatorship doesn't get enough good advice, they tend to abuse their power and make bad decisions. They point to Vladimir Putin's war against Ukraine, which is getting increasingly expensive, as a reason to worry that Xi Jinping's absolute power could one day lead to the same terrible results. Putin and Xi Jinping suffer from the same strongman syndrome problem, said Sang. They have turned their policy advice circles into echo chambers, so people can no longer speak their minds freely. Big mistakes are being made because the scope of that internal policy debate has been cut back or even eliminated. In recent times, no other country has changed as quickly as China has. The Communist Party says that the way it is run has helped hundreds of millions of people escape poverty and turn backwater villages into amazing megacities. But that miracle of growth has slowed down, and many problems that have been going on for a long time in China's economy have gotten worse because of Xi Jinping's policies. Xi Jinping has made it his goal to strengthen the party and give it more power over business and society. He cracked down on the once thriving private sector, which led many people to lose their jobs. Beijing says stricter rules will stop corporations from being too powerful and protect consumers. Still, the authorities have stifled private businesses, sent chills through the economy, and made people worried about the future of innovation. Beijing started making it harder for property companies to get easy loans in 2020. It caused many developers, including the considerable conglomerate Evergrande, to run out of money and miss payments. Housing projects have stopped, and desperate people all over the country are refusing to pay mortgages on homes that aren't finished. As much as 30% of China's GDP comes from the real estate market, and problems significantly affect the rest of the economy. But nothing has shaken China's economy and society as much as zero COVID while Xi Jinping has been in charge. Even though the rest of the world has learned to live with the virus, China has stuck to its harsh policy of mass testing, extensive quarantines, and sudden lockdowns to stop infections at any cost. That's all we have for you today. Take a look at how Jinping has control over China. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't want to miss any future videos, subscribe to the channel and switch on notifications. Thank you so much for watching.